Welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
Gabe and I are excited to check out another Virat Kohli video. You know, people might be thinking like, man, they do a lot of Virat Kohli and board reviews and CFA. And it's like, first of all, he is the face of cricket internationally right now. And second of all, a whole lot of our audience loves themselves some Virat Kohli. And we are men of the people, for crying out loud. And we love ourselves some Virat Kohli as well, obviously. This video, Gabe, has been requested. I forget the person's name over and over. I mean, every time we put a video out and it's not this video, he's like, I keep telling you, you should do this video. So we are finally here. I got you, my friend. Appreciate your persistence, your kind, respectful persistence. Gabe, we're looking at a video called The Business of Virat Kohli, How Free Internet Fueled His Rise. What do you think this video is about? Because I'm not even sure myself.
You know, I think, honestly, here it's funny because you mentioned about Virat Kohli. I think that Virat Kohli right now is he is the face of cricket. And part of that is how accessible cricket has become to everyone. All right. And when I say everyone, again, because of the internet, because of YouTube, you know, even if you're in a different market and you don't get IPL or you don't get Indian cricket, let's say you don't have Willow, whatever, you can still find out who Virat Kohli is and watch some highlights of him playing. Like, I argue Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest basketball players of our lifetime, but he became bigger because of the generation he played in, where if people realize who Jordan really was, I got kids right now who say Jordan was what? You know what I mean? Like, they don't understand. They do. Yeah. I have students in school. They don't understand. You know, LeBron is LeBron. Steph Curry is Steph Curry because of social media, because of the internet, because they can really put out how great they are as athletes to the rest of the world, where before you had a limited audience. You had to, you know, pay to be able to watch these athletes play. And not that you don't pay for internet, but here it says free internet. So I'm assuming that maybe it's because of, you know, how YouTube is free. So you're not necessarily having to pay to subscribe to Willow or to Hotstar or to ESPN Plus in order to watch him play and watch his greatness. But I think that these athletes in this generation just have an easier time to market themselves. Also, because whether the media likes them or not, they can bypass the media. That's one thing that didn't used to happen in our generation, right, Nick? If you weren't a popular guy with the media, they can make you look bad. Case in point, a guy like Marshawn Lynch, right? He didn't like the media, so people bashed him. He was one of the best running backs of our generation, Marshawn Lynch. And there were many players like that where, he's not a team guy. He's not a personable guy or whatever. Well, maybe I am, but I just don't like talking to you. There's a funny YouTube video called, you know, NFL players answering stupid reporters' questions or whatever. You know what I mean? Because, again, these reporters' job is to get an anecdote, to get, you know, a quotable line, to get a I got you line. You know what I mean? One of the things that honestly drove me crazy, and it's still now with the press, and it started in the Trump era, some of the reporters that would be out there asking these combative questions that are designed to, you know what I mean? To like, I got you. And you see it now with Biden too. And it's like, when did this battle between, you know, the presidency and the administration happen, you know, with the media? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's been like that in sports for a while, where it seems like a lot of times the sports reporters are just looking to catch you slipping up so that they can put it in big headlines. Great example. Allen Iverson says too good for practice. Come on, practice? You talking about practice. People did not get the quote totally. But anybody now, when they think about Allen Iverson, what do they think about? Come on, practice. Man. Practice. You know. So I think that that's really what this video is talking about. But we'll find out, my friend.
that was a good, typical Gabe answer to a question. I absolutely love it. The business of, I thought it was like, you know, his outside ventures. You know, a lot of these athletes, they know that they can only play for so long at a high level, and eventually those huge contracts, they're going to go away because they're not going to be able to sustain it at a later age, unless you're named Tom Brady, for crying out loud. So they get their businesses in place, they get their connections while they're still a big name, which is very, very smart. I thought it was going to be something like that. Maybe it's more of a play on words for his career and his personality and how the media perceives him, like you said. Who knows? Excited to check it out. If you're new to Cricket for Americans, you love cricket, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And you can check out our catalog of other videos. You're going to find someone there that you like. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and check out this in 3, 2, 1.
He is one of the highest paid athletes in the world, one of the most famous athletes in the world, and among the 100 most influential people in the world. We are not talking about LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo, but Virat Kohli. For a country of over 1 billion people, picking an idol doesn't get any easier. Virat Kohli is the captain of the Indian cricket team. He dates a famous actress, speaks like a statesman and parties like a rock star. And he is widely acknowledged as the best batsman in the world. While Kohli is destined to have his name alongside cricketing legends, he is the first to be among the highest earning athletes worldwide. To assess the value of Kohli, it's worth noting that most of India's cricket-crazed 1.3 billion inhabitants know him. For comparison, hardly 800 million people live in Europe, and North and South America combined are home to roughly 1 billion people, still less than India alone.
That's crazy.
So what is it that makes Virat Kohli one of India's biggest celebrities?
I didn't realize that North and South America combined
Celebrities
was 1
are
billion
often
people.
worshipped as heroes, but nowhere is it remotely on the same scale as in India. All throughout Indian history, people have been placed on pedestals and elevated to demigod status. While in the past this adulation was reserved for kings, it has now trickled into other parts of Indian society and culture. Unlike most earlier Indian cricketers who prefer to let their bat do the talking, Virat Kohli is not the one to shy away from confrontations on the fields or at press conferences.
I'm not sitting here comforting my guys, so I don't know what you're listening to, but I'm asking everyone to be hard on themselves.
He has built a reputation for never standing down and not giving an inch on the field. As stated in The Telegraph, those steeped in the traditions of cricket and the spirit of the game may be aghast at his behavior, but he finds approval for his actions in a vast majority. Cricket players do not get a salary anywhere close to that of athletes in domestic leagues like, for instance, the NBA or Premier League. This is because they represent their national team for the majority of the year, and most domestic tournaments run for barely over a month. These leagues are lucrative, but the wages are adjusted for the short duration. In sports like football, the domestic league is played throughout the year and players' primary salary is paid by clubs, not national authorities. So it makes perfect sense that no cricket player is on the Forbes list of top 100 highest paid athletes. That is, no cricket player except for Virat Kohli. He is by far the highest paid cricket player with a total annual earning of 26 million, which dwarfs all of his other colleagues. The Indian Premier League was the brainchild of an Indian businessman. After studying in the US and being exposed to the wild popularity and unique cultural position basketball held there, he returned to India and modeled a cricket tournament along the lines of the NBA, which was unheard of in the traditionalist sport of cricket. IPL launched in 2008 and immediately became a phenomenon in India. The only people who challenge cricket players for godlike status in India are those from Bollywood, and IPL married the two. Many of India's biggest celebrities, from actors like Shah Rukh Khan and Preeti Zinta to India's richest man Mukesh Ambani, seemingly made a beeline for buying team franchises. The IPL now has the second highest average attendance for any league across any sport anywhere in the world. And Virat Kohli is its highest paid player. And yet, despite the almost $2.5 million from the IPL and a previously unprecedented bumper contract with the national team, less than 9% of his annual earnings comes from his salary. The only athlete in the Forbes top 10 with more than 90% of earnings coming from endorsements is Roger Federer. So what makes Virat Kohli so marketable? A part of the reason behind Kohli's immense popularity is that he is way more accessible than any of the previous generation stars. And this is largely down to India's richest man, Mukesh Ambani, launching a telecom company called Reliance Jio in 2016. It offered free mobile data to everyone for 6 months and exceptional low prices after that. As a result, data prices from their competitors plunged in response. Coupled with the explosion of cheap Chinese smartphones in the Indian market, this led to a whole new wave of Indians on the internet for the first time. Millions of new Indian Facebook and Instagram accounts were created in the first few months after Jio's launch. The timing of this coincided with Kohli's form. A huge number of people began streaming his matches from their phone, which meant more people were seeing him at his best. Now, they could even follow up on him post-game, from his regular social media updates and interviews. Everybody wanted a piece of him, and it wasn't long before half the nation knew everything about him, from his favorite food to his toilet schedule. Subsequently, it was revealed that amongst the hottest keyword from internet searches were Reliance Jio and Virat Kohli. Kohli is now the most followed Indian on Instagram and reportedly earns over $350,000 for a single tweet.
Oh my
The
gosh.
manicured beard, six-pack abs and a bad boy attitude quickly garnered him an almost religious young female fan following. This was uncharted territory for Indian cricketers who were usually known only for their cricketing ability. With this, Kohli began transitioning from national sports star to celebrity, much the way David Beckham did. However, the similarities with Beckham don't end here. Kohli cemented the crossover when he began dating the beautiful Bollywood star Anushka Sharma. Their marriage was a huge event in India, and their relationship ensured magazines always had a permanent stream of news to write about him, even when he wasn't on the cricket pitch. Virat Kohli's brand is built carefully by his superstar agent Bunty Sachdev. Bunty, or Jerry as Virat calls him after Tom Cruise's character in Jerry Maguire, has complete freedom about everything Virat does off the field. He can be viewed as the Indian version of Mino Raiola and represents a long list of Indian sports superstars. He handles everything about his players' image, from the apparel they wear to their social media posts, using a data-driven model to identify target audiences and demographics. A quick glance at the companies that Kohli endorses shows us exactly what audience he targets. We primarily see names like Puma, Google Duo, Uber, Tissot, Audi and Philips. These are companies that exclusively target the urban Indian population, and that is exactly the market that the brand Kohli is going after. His own athleisure brand 18, in collaboration with Puma, is set to release a whole collection of urban and youth-centric
Those are
apparel,
sick. I would wear those.
footwear and equipment that he hopes will grow in the same vein as the Jordan brand. We can classify almost the entire list of companies he has endorsed and invested in under one urban youth-centric category. Underneath this umbrella, we see three clear segments: fashion, health and fitness, and sports. Let's take a deeper look at this to understand how Bunty has delivered on his promise of showing Virat the money.
Show me the money!
In 2017, Kohli stopped endorsing Adidas and signed with Puma. It was the largest ever endorsement deal for an Indian sportsman with a single brand. This can be attributed to Puma agreeing to launch Kohli's own signature line, 18, after his jersey number 18. The move paid off for both, with Kohli getting close to $150 million from it. Puma says its association with him led to 10% of its sales in India in 2019, along with an overall 23% revenue growth.
Jeez.
He is also the co-creator of a youth fashion brand called Wrong and is constantly seen on advertisements for an ethnic wear brand called Manyava with his wife. Kohli changed the nature of the cricket team's approach to fitness with his own transformation. He went on a vegan diet and completely revamped his workout routine. And his marketing team makes sure that his physical fitness is always associated with his name. Kohli caused a huge stir when he dropped PepsiCo as his sponsor for not being in line with his new healthy lifestyle. He is now the face of India's most popular energy and nutrition drink, Boost. In 2015, he invested close to $12 million in setting up a new line of gyms in Tier 1 Indian cities called Chisel. After seeing the success of IPL and the popularity it garnered from the younger generation, a whole bunch of copycat leagues in different sports began cropping up all over India. Kohli promptly invested in some of them, like a team in India's domestic wrestling league and even in the now defunct tennis team UAE Royals, captained by Roger Federer. The teams he owns are all very strategic investments and follow the same pattern. For example, FC Goa, one of the teams he co-owns, is a part of India's football league. Football and the Indian Super League have a largely young audience in India. On top of this, Goa is a state that is known for its beaches and young partygoers. One cannot help but notice the same characteristic features again and again that are ingrained into everything he does. Something sporty, healthy, or fashionable for a young urban audience. He makes sure to only work with partners that suit his brand image and not accept every offer he is given. This clarity has worked well for him and built a strong credibility. An article in The Scroll captured Indians' love for Kohli quite simply by saying, "It's easy to see why Kohli is so popular in India. He is the best cricketer in a country that adores the game and its stars. He is a fitness and style icon. He dates a famous Bollywood actress. He talks like a statesman and parties like a rock star. He is what every youngster in India aspires to be." While in India, Kohli seems to only be getting bigger and bigger, it remains to be seen if Kohli can break the confines of the limited global appeal for cricket outside the Commonwealth nations and transition into a truly global personality. We hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon.
Wow. So a lot of thoughts, obviously, but that was a great video. That was a great video by Athletic Interest. Did a fantastic job with their editing skills, with the visuals, with the information. You feel like all of that has got to be 100% true because it just seems so professionally put together. So good on Athletic Interest. But man, I don't know how this guy, does he even sleep? Like, how does he have literally any time to do anything else? He's owning teams. He's doing sponsorships. He's playing international. He's playing IPL. He's, all over the place. How does he have any time to do anything?
Nick, I remember I read a book a long time ago, and it's funny because, I drive some of the elite, not just Americans, but some of the elite people around the world as a, limo driver here in Las Vegas. They all come to Las Vegas. And, I remember reading in this book, I forget the title of the book, but it was something to the effect of, rich people don't sleep. Okay, that's just a reality. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between the ultra rich and successful is how we use it. All right. The average, Fortune 500 CEO, those top guys sleep probably 5-6 hours a day. That's just reality. They're always grinding. They're always working. Always grinding. I've seen it firsthand where, I'll pick up a guy from the airport and he's immediately in the limo. He's already on the phone, and you may not consider that work, but he's wheeling and dealing, cutting deals, doing this, checking out an investment. These guys are always going. And that's what makes him successful. Again, I think it was more of a coincidence that he got at the very time that this mobile internet was launched with 6 months free of internet and then very low rates, that he was the face of India. I would argue that if let's say maybe it happened during the Dhoni era, Dhoni would have been as big, but it just happened that had launched and it was Kohli. I will say this though, the one thing that's different about Kohli, that's different than Dhoni, excuse me. The one thing that's different with Kohli, that's different from Dhoni and even Sachin, is he seems to be like this new generation. He's a voice for them where they're loud. And that's even here in America, right? We're outspoken, we're loud. You've never seen a more combative generation than this new generation. We're not sticking to the social norms. We're not going to just play your game, and whether that's in politics, whether it's in film, whether it's in sports, like, we're gonna be us, and we're not gonna subscribe to the normal expectations. And that's what Kohli is. That's what I fell in love with him, because cricket, I get it, is the gentleman's game. But what we have always said, in America, you see athletes just go off and wear their emotion on their sleeves, right? Passion, and we love that, because if I'm gonna dedicate 2, 3, 4 hours to a game, 8 hours to a test match, whatever, if that umpire makes a bad call, or if something happens, I want that player to be as upset as I am, right? I want to be in the struggle with that player, not to have just that whatever attitude and to, hold people's feet to the fire. Not like, oh, we lost another game, it's okay. No, it's not okay. Like you said, I'm not here coddling these guys. I expect them to be as hard as themselves. So he's got that new demeanor where, think about it, in days past, even in American sports, it was blasphemous to hold your own team to account through the media or to talk about that. Where now you see Tom Brady on there all the time, lighting fire under people's behinds, right? No, they got to get in the gym. They got to work harder. They got to do this. They got to do that. Like, that's what he is, and that's what he represents. And that's why I think we both have gravitated to him, because he's as much as an American athlete, you know what I mean? Iconic status, your Fernando Tatis black flipping and not caring, tweeting and doing everything and just being loud, and I'm not worried about the unwritten rules, and I'm not worrying about offending people's sensibilities. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And I think that's really why people gravitate to him.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting that they mentioned about his agent too and how he handles everything about his reputation. He sends a tweet and gets 350 grand per sponsored tweet. That's just insane. 91% of his total income comes from sponsorships.
Right.
This guy's all over the place. And one thing, as a regular guy speaking here, that makes me just a little bit concerned is, I see it with so many celebrities, so many successful celebrities that have endorsements and do their regular stuff, that it seems like it's never enough. Like, they're always afraid that eventually the well's going to dry up and they're going to have nothing left. But if he made $150 million alone from that Puma deal, right? That, for most people, that's generational wealth. You're good to go. You're done for the rest of your life. But he's still going. He's still bringing in millions upon millions every single year. And he's all these different ventures and he's doing these different things and all this kind of stuff. It is a little concerning, because you got to ask yourself, like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, I'm a huge believer in having some downtime. You've got to be able to sit down, smell the roses, enjoy your surroundings. Now, you can have too much of that. And if you're equipped with every show that's on TV and every reality show and all that kind of stuff, then maybe you have too much free time. But that's your prerogative as well. But I just hope that he is enjoying himself. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, of course he's enjoying himself. He's rich and famous. It's not as simple as all that. No. Sometimes it's not enjoyable to go to, situation to situation, engagement to engagement. Sit down. He's a father now. Sit down, smell the roses, sit there on the carpet with your kid for a few hours and just do whatever. That's the only thing that makes me concerned, but it's very impressive what this guy has done. Fitness is a huge part of it. And for anyone that doesn't know, this guy has dedicated his entire life to fitness. Everything he eats, he has no cheat days. You see him right there. That was probably his home that he was doing those power clings, those power lifts on. I mean, his entire life has been devoted to it, and good on him for being as successful as he is.
No, definitely. And I think that just from the little bit we know of him, he missed India's tour of Australia after the first game because his wife was, giving birth, right? And he took the rest of the tour off to be home and be there. And I think that, from that perspective, he does have balance. But I completely understand what you're saying, because I've seen it firsthand. Like, these guys do not sleep, Nick. It's always working, always on the go. They're getting pulled in so many different directions. And what I would argue is I don't want it to take away from his performance on the field, but that's why he's got his own little Jerry, right? He's got a Jerry Maguire. You deal with everything else. I'm going to do this, all right? Outside of the field, you tell me where I need to be. I'm going to be there. I'm going to do what I got to do. You deal with that, though. I'm going to focus on the field. And as long as he's performing, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? But, man, this was a great video. And I really think that one of the things, he mentioned about, how Michael Jordan became his own brand, right? And it was unheard of. When Michael Jordan went to Nike and said, I'll start Team Jordan. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to deal with it. And Jordan is its own brand, all right? I don't care where you're in the world. Everybody knows what a pair of Jordans are. And he started signing other athletes and having cleats. Did you see the soccer cleats back there? Virat Kohli don't play soccer, but guess what? Virat Kohli has some soccer shoes out there, right?
Well, he owns that soccer club too in Goa that he mentioned.
Same thing. Jordan don't play baseball, all the kids got the Jordan cleats. It's, you know, the number two, the two top. Well, Mike, that's not playing baseball, cousin. It was so bad. It was so bad. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's two brands that are really popular with baseball cleats. All right, Mike Trout, who's the number one player in baseball, and Jordan. All right, Derek Jeter got signed to who? Team Jordan. The biggest baseball player signed to Team Jordan. So it's so smart for him to be doing this. And I think that really the last thing I got to say is that he is really what's great about this upcoming generation. He would be considered, because he's about a decade younger than us, so he would be considered one of these millennials, right? You know what I mean? And you know, they're so innovative. The way they think, the way they do things, it's not conventional. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know a lot of people don't, you know, oh, they change everything, and I don't care. You got to get used to it. You know, I was one of those guys, you know, initially thinking to myself, oh, and I'm so mad at myself now, you know what I'm saying? Like, not understanding a Netflix. And what do you mean? What? I'm streaming online? No, I should have invested back then, cousin. You know what I mean? Starbucks, I'm not paying $5 for a coffee. That place is going to fail. I might as well. You know what I mean? Like, they do things so differently, man. And man, it's really a credit to that entire generation, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. Thank you so much for hearing our thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know what else we got to check out, and request that below in the comment section. With all that being said, until next time.
We know all things.